Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on psychopathic manipulation. And we had a viewer comment that says, what is, with all the female psychopath videos? I'm a female. And I just want to speak to that point is that we have a lot of viewer questions and inquiries coming about that type of individual. So that is why we've been doing a little mini series on that. Now realize that, there's certain psychopathic traits that will regardless of gender, really regardless of culture, you have to understand that there's almost like a pattern that they will exhibit. And to the degree of severity or intensity or extent will really vary on the individual, but it's very important that you become informed, that you become knowledgeable, that you become understanding and schooled or educated in this type of person. Not everybody has experienced this type of individual. You might have, experienced a bully, someone who is mean, someone who is rude, someone who is impolite or obnoxious or belligerent. Okay, we're talking about that, but we're also talking about really at a higher level, above and beyond. A individual once told me, you've got your bachelor's, your master's, your doctorate, your scientist, and then above that, way, we're talking about people who really view things differently than the rest of people, not to the support and advantage of society, humanity, or the individual, but it is to the detriment, to the downfall, to the ruin. Okay, to the ruin. Have you ever seen the ruins of Greece or Rome or what? We're talking about ruin. We're not talking about, I just want to, get this one work contract from you, or I just want to, cheat on your boyfriend. We're talking about really large scale and what I would call deeper scale, sort of getting their talons and tendrils, and the way that they manipulate is very important to understand that you are dealing with a horse of a different color when you're talking about a psychopath. So not everybody has a knowledge store within them to have a comparison and an understanding. So you might tell others what they did. Oh yeah, that's just what a bully would do. That's just what someone who is aggressive, or they were just needy, or they were, so they might not understand really the whole, circumstance and the cause that has created in others, particularly wide scale confusion, fog, disorientation, dissociation, among a number of other ruinous behaviors. Ruining people financially, ruining people, separating them from their support system, meaning their family, their job, their intelligence, their language. And, namely, the psychopath will go after really your vulnerability and what makes you unique or what makes you tick. So we're talking about a whole nother level of manipulation. We're talking about people who see through a lens when they are looking at others that's a different lens, like a different set of glasses than most people. So X-ray vision, things that you might have seen in the movies, they can see through walls, or, what I'm talking about is they can't literally see through walls, but they see through a lot of the social norms, the normal behavior that most people and communities and companies exhibit, and they snake and weasel and wind their way through all sorts of weaknesses in the system. You weren't looking, you didn't speak up, you didn't call it out, you let this one go, you didn't say anything, you didn't stand up, you weren't sure if this was a red flag, you weren't sure if this was normal, maybe this is what pros do. Maybe this person is just so good. Maybe they're, How many have sort of gone through that phase of the relationship where they were in this sort of shock and awe period? Because these people are wired differently, but then again, on the outside, they look quote unquote normal. but there is a look in the eyes. There is a lack of expression around the eyes that is the telltale. I mean, the degree to which you are dealing with someone who has different wiring cannot be emphasized enough. These are people who fool professionals, who pass lie detector tests. I mean, they've got a biofeedback system that allows them to sort of, get through like a slithery, greased snake. So, in other words, undetectable, unable to be caught. They just will cover their tracks. It's cover their fingerprints, cover their toenails, whatever it is that they need to do, but then they'll give you enough reward that is of the unique and special to keep you sort of interested, fascinated, or keeping a bug in your ear. They will target what makes you unique, as well as sort of get in under the back door, the side door, the attic that was left open, a crack in a window. They find ways to sort of get in, and when I mean get in, get into your operating system, your I am, how you look, how you feel, how you perceive the world, what you focus on, how you spend your time, the meaningful connections that you make with objects and people and situations in your environment. They will distort, twist, and remove that normal, natural process, what I would consider your organic self, and throw it in an imbalanced state. We're talking about a neurochemical state where it becomes so escalated. It's kind of like if you were to imagine if someone were to be working overtime, like 52 hours a week, during very intense times for weeks and months on end. This is sort of the difficulty of mind, if you can imagine. I'm just trying to give you a parallel just to show you that it's people get so primed up by these individuals. Primed up meaning kind of like if you've ever mowed grass and they're just putting in these little vapors to just ignite the engine. They sort of prime people to erupt. They prime people to be easily manipulated, to violate their boundaries, to they become non-existent, but namely that of their standards and their I am, what I would call the foundation, or what makes them unique, what makes a workplace unique, what makes you unique, what makes your life history unique, your community, the company unique. So it's kind of like an anti-culture against you, if you can imagine that. And usually they will just do it without asking, but they are trying to control an outcome. They're constantly trying to control an outcome. And a number one quality that I think a psychopath would explain themselves with is they are calculating. It is deliberate and calculating. It's not that they lied by accident, that they made it look like they slept in the bed when they didn't, when it looks like they made breakfast but they didn't, when it looks like they were working at the computer, left some books open. They will plant a scene where this is what we are talking about, almost like, that makes people kind of look out of the corner of their eye and go, what was that? And then second guess themselves, why is this initial carved onto my deck? Or strange things. Why is this piece of clothing in their glove box? Why is there this and this in the pillowcase, in the mattress? I mean, strange things. And so they throw people off and get them into this sort of paranoid, sort of worn out or hyper aroused, almost hyperventilated state, which gets people off center. And they forget kind of who they are for a moment. They get very sort of detached from their inner value system, what you would call your identity, what anchors you, what grounds you, what makes you feel comfortable, just your usual I am. And that you might not have realized that this was what was being targeted for being corrupted, targeted for being distorted, perverted, flipped on its back end, and then sort of hollowed out once again like a pumpkin. If you ever decorated pumpkins, They kind of hollow you out with your I am, and then that inner security, your guts, if you will, just to keep the analogy going, the seeds of your own sustainability, they hollow those out and chuck those away to the point where you don't even know where the seeds of your being are. You try to pull within, and it's all a mental scramble. Oftentimes it'll feel like you're on a neurochemical sort of issue. The body is out of homeostasis. We're talking about a chemical change. And those, they will seek to, sort of corrupt, especially those innocent ones. Those people who have, not gone to the quote unquote dark side. You might consider that, those people who are highly accomplished. Those people who would be a good trophy to take down. This is, or whatever it is that they want, that is how they target. They don't target only to use, they target to abuse and ruin. I mean, we're talking about a big problem. We are talking about a big problem, and that renders others ineffectual. And then the psychopath then is just sort of walking away as if nothing happened. They have no feeling, no remorse, no regret. It is business as usual for them. So you have to, if you have felt that this has been part of the problem, then you must understand that I'm just sort of taking my notes here, that this is what they do. And pardon the hat, because I'm not quite happy with my haircut. But so, and happy summer, everybody. So they will target after this and almost make your own values unrecognizable or something of the past. So you don't have a recourse or an anchor to sort of come back to. It's like having a big glaring missing piece in your inner life. So when you try to go back to your own self-preservation, that whole system is out of whack. So they will make you seem sort of foreign to yourself, but it's in the name of love, in the name of improvement. This is a great change for you. This is your new business partner. This is your new romantic partner. This is your new lover. This is your new neighbor, your new priest, whoever it is that is of this ilk. You have to realize that is the area of target. It's like the anchor. What makes you you? Your security, your center, your focus, what's in the fabric of your being. That is what they want to rip to shreds so that it is irrevocable, not irrevocable, but I don't want to say retractable, but not only unreplaceable, but unretrievable, I think is the word that I'm looking for. It becomes very difficult to retrieve your normal sense of self and balance after this because of the distorted and sort of their high energy level is based on their sensitivity to dopamine, the way that their structures of their brain work. So they're on a what you might call a psychopathic high. They use different sorts and styles of communication, namely that distort and sort of pervert to the tune of the hyperarousal. So they will do this to provoke people, get them wondering about, wow, this person is so unique or so different. I should really pay attention. This could be a great business partner. This could be a great lover. But the number one, I would say, difference when there is the manipulation is the distorted value system and the distorted thought process that they imprint in others. It's almost like they're educating or a very subtle form of derailing others in the way that they arrive at meaning and understanding in their own life. So, oh, this is on sale, I'll pick this up. Whatever it is, your normal, natural decision-making process, they sort of educate people to look at things differently that takes the lever of control out of your hand. So you think it's even more in your hand because when you're with them, you feel that this is your partner, your confidant, whatever, your knight in shining armor. But it's very discouraging when you begin to see, as the relationship matures and you get into the devalue and discard, and when they're taking up other targets, other victims. I can't say this enough. They can never get enough. They have an insatiable need for power and control. I mean, they get a position of power, that is not enough. They get a position of control, that is not enough. They get a windfall of money, that is not enough. They will, this is just what they do. So if you have been grazed or, injured by this person, you have to understand that this is what happens. You have to understand and step away. Stop, going no contact, removing everything in your house, in your workplace that really is significant of them. Even the pictures, anything that continues to prime your subconscious to keep that non-reality a reality. Your reality will be a much better option than the delusion and the altered state that a psychopath will induct into their targets, their victims. And we can do a whole bunch of videos on this. And we had a particular viewer question that was asking about word salad. So word salad, I would say it's a very specific way that once they sort of target you for your uniqueness, what makes you strong? What is your positive sense of self? In other words, you might be a very detail-oriented person. Next thing you know, the details don't matter. You might be very into a specific type of activity, a spiritual support, so connection with your family. Maybe you have some friends that you go out with. You have annual visits, or you have little trips, or you have a communication once a month. Those you'll find that those no longer feel as interesting as compared to the psychopath. They have a very sort of an ego that creates a division, and namely that of divisiveness between others. So separating you from the group, separating you from your strength. Part of life is that you share your strengths with others. When you are on your best, you are operating by your strengths, not from your weaknesses. So they will get in through your weaknesses, which you feel that you're, laying your guard down to them. And because they have maybe done the same. They might have come at you with a sob story. I had this terrible divorce. I had this and this. And then, oh, woe is you. And then you've got the guard down. I can trust this person. And then you begin the self-disclosure, and it gives them more ammunition to seal the deal of manipulation. So the word salad, I would say, is something that is very insidious in a way to flip and twist the meaning of things. If this makes any sense. Someone had asked to do a whole video for this. So they have a way to sort of use distraction and the way that they look at things and sort of transpose the meaning and put it into a bucket, if you will, that serves hyper arousal or something for you to get juiced up, jacked up sideways, so that you are trying to think on their dimension of thinking as different and separate from your own. In other words, whoa, I better outsmart this psychopath, or I better think like them because they have got so much done, or whatever it is that you might have explained and justified to yourself. So the word salad will be, your pink shoelaces on your gym shoes, the way that they'll be playing with it, and next thing you know, they're sort of insinuating that this is the shoelace of a bikini, and they're just gonna tear it, they're gonna undo it, and the bikini top is gonna fall off. I mean, they have ways of transposing information. This sounds very strange to people who have never encountered this individual. You must be making this up. You might have a psychological disorder, so people might not understand. So it becomes a very sort of inside way of communicating. It might be based on humor, sexuality, winning the deal, winning the job, winning the contract. but namely, it's that of transposing meaning and images. Transposing meaning and images. So a salt and pepper shaker is no longer a salt and pepper shaker. It becomes their hair, which becomes other meanings, which becomes, be a little bit more salty, which become a little bit more peppery, and then, be a little bit more vulgar. And then vulgar means violate your own boundaries, and then, get hyper aroused. And then next thing you know, you're engaging in high risk behaviors that you then become addicted in this cycle. So the psychopath is very calculating. They're waiting for the tree to fell. They're always sort of sawing little by little, and then they go, whoop, one little thing, you didn't know that I was engaged to so-and-so for the past 3 years. The tree falls, you're disconnected from your roots, and then the psychopath is just like, yeah, I'm married, but do you still want to be friends? It's just, what? So things, and then, so you might have found that you're doing things that you are not, I always say that it's out of character for you, or you found that you have then perverted the very thing that you should protect. In other words, they might engage in high risk behavior. So you do things in the community that would really not be something that you would want to repeat. If let's do this over here, even though that's private property. Let's do this over here, even though that's another business. So let's do this. Let's try something. And so they sort of keep pulling on that let's try something maneuver. And people then have difficulty they feel that they're sort of lost in a very big ocean, like they can't find the bottom. And then they're sort of, treading land, and then you begin, the breathing gets uneasy. Where is land? This is really the sort of feeling that is created. So it keeps people really isolated, and then sort of thinking in what I would call the word salad. So the word salad, and we could do a whole video on this, is where they say things out of context, and then we'll just make a blurb and then sort of exit the room, or make these sort of things that make you go, what, huh? And then you might be thinking over that and mulling over it for some time. What did they mean by that? And then it's usually meant to either do something to get you more under their control. You give up, your thumb over yourself to your thumb is now trying to be over or connected with them, if that makes any sense. The Mick Jagger under my thumb. So you're no longer under your own thumb. You feel that you're under their thumb, if that makes any sense whatsoever. And so you have to pull back. You have to get out and away. You have to go no contact, no looking at, no following on Facebook, no pictures in your phone numbers, no LinkedIn, whatever gifts, you have to clear it out. You might want and need to move your company. You might need to move your job. You might need to move where you live. You might need to make some radical changes, is what I'm trying to surmise here for you. And the word salad, I think, is what particularly gets and creates that havoc, engineered chaos, and paranoia. It's like a spaghetti bowl. You can't follow the strands through anymore. It becomes very much of what you might call a mental fog, but fog just doesn't give you the sort of the real quality, because I'm kind of foggy about that. It's very difficult. It's like fog with fire. It's a very oftentimes high level and fearful place to be. Once because they will engage in brainwashing and gaslighting, which means to sort of alter your reality and sort of reprogram you, almost like a cult. Almost like a cult programming, where people are doing things very strange, and anyone in their right mind would not do this. So it's one of these, anyone in their right mind would not and you find yourself, well, wow, this, sort of on their bandwagon, or on, the engine within you is sort of been teed up by this type of individual. And the word salad is a juxtaposition of meaning that is that is not connected to the original meaning. In other words, emergency lights, by the exit, next thing, these look like something else. In other words, they might compare that to breast implants, or I'm trying to explain to you what they might distort the meaning. So like the Mickey Mouse, they might say, and just use the meaning and then use a way to communicate and show that this looks like women's implants with their breasts going out in different directions, or like the Mickey Mouse. You guys might laugh, but this is just one example where it distorts the innocent, the Mickey Mouse Club, the Mickey Mouse Gang, the comic, innocent character, and then now it's being used as a means to hyper arouse or manipulate the thought process, feelings, emotions, and behaviors. And really this spiritual support system, the psychological support system that is always running with this individual, that gets dismantled. The wires get cut. It gets unplugged. It's not functioning, and it's sort of running with their program. And then so they then sort of, I would say, groom their targets with this sort of distorted thinking. And sometimes you can't explain it. It will just sort of come about when they're in the room. This is a very different type of individual. And a lot of people might sort of be glued to them because they're in sort of a fawn-like behavior. They're in a deer in a headlight. So I would say in the beginning, it becomes very, very gradual, and then it becomes a very complete sort of takeover. And it feels very hostile, but there might not be any hostility involved. This is what we're talking about, the multi-layer of deception. We can go more into these topics here in future videos. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace be with you, peace within, and have a beautiful day.